up, guys? How are you doing today? I hope that everyone is well and safe. And today I promised you to go live with an interesting topic. I want to talk to you about 3 ways that your commercial gigs might be killing your creative spark, and maybe in some worst case scenario, killing your interest in photography altogether. Maybe some of you are familiar with the situations when we started photography because we felt freedom. We wanted to express ourselves. We felt that, okay, we got this. We can create beautiful images, and straight away we tried to turn it into a profession. If, for example, it started as a hobby. So, but when we began taking more and more commercial works or commercial gigs, it might not always feel good. Please let me know if that resonates with you, because I had a lot of those experiences, and I'm actually like, you guys, you should understand me. I am just using the hand cream right now because I'm so tired of washing hands all the time. Oh yeah, great. You saw my art in Israel. That's so great. Before I begin with this topic, I really want to get some of your feedback, some of your ideas. Have you ever felt that you're uninspired doing something, some commercial photography gig, which you actually get paid for, and maybe the money is quite good, but it's just not really what you're learning to create, or you just don't feel inspired when doing that? Just let me know if that's the case. Before I begin, and really, I am not a guru in this space. I really wanted to be a conversation because the topic is kind of vulnerable. The topic is sensitive as well, and I will be sharing just my personal findings and my personal experiences, but maybe you have your own, and especially that might be the topic might be sensitive right now, because if you're a commercial photographer, and by commercial I mean not working with just brands, not working with strictly commercial photography, which is like ads, but also if you're a wedding photographer, if you're a family photographer, event photographer, those things get cancelled now, right? And many of you are facing the situation when you have to return your like booking deposits, and that's probably doesn't feel good, and you feel very lucky to have maybe some gigs still coming. And that's true, I get it, but still not all of them feel that inspiring. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, and how to fix that, how to actually understand, spot those things that can be ruining your creativity in photography, which is supposed to like is your creative, like your favorite creative realm. And just really keep your inspiration, even when you're doing something, or even not even when you're doing something that's paid, but especially when you're doing something that's paid. That's what we're after. We want to stay creative. We want to um, continue shooting and being inspired. It's vital for us, of course, but we also want to sustain ourselves from our creative practices. We want to make a living from that, and maybe not even little pennies, but something that we can support our families with. We can help maybe like other family members, and that's possible, I'm telling you. And this is what I want to share today. For those of you who are new, I'm Dasha Pears. I'm a surreal fine art photographer. I'm Russian, based in Finland and Helsinki, and now I have started photography as a hobbyist as well. I'm completely self-taught, and I first picked up my camera about 10 years ago, and in a couple of years I became more serious about it. And actually, in the very beginning, I was very, very passionate about turning it into a career. So I tried shooting everything: weddings, families, product photography. I did studio portraits, I did interior images. I basically tried everything, so that and I took any job that I could take, because I really, really wanted to get paid for that, because I thought that if I get paid, then I'm a real photographer. And maybe some of you are familiar with that situation, and especially when you become more passionate about a new career, there is pressure from outside. People, maybe in your families, maybe your friends, maybe your parents, sometimes they're like, okay, if you get paid, then it's okay. Then you can, of course, do it, because yes, you make money with it. It makes sense. But if you don't make money, then you feel automatically guilty that you spend your time there, you invest your maybe money in the gear, and that happened to me as well. I really, really wanted to get desperately paid for all of my gigs, and therefore I was doing basically anything that I could get. And this little story, it takes me to the first reason why. The first thing that might be killing the creative spark in your commercial photography endeavors. You don't shoot things that genuinely interest you. You don't shoot things that you care about. And when I told you I tried everything, at some point I discovered surreal fine art photography, and I felt that thing was hugely interesting, but I didn't dare to call it my thing, because I couldn't figure out how to make money with it right away. And since I didn't know how to get paid for that, I tried in multiple ways, but at the very beginning it didn't come to me easily, so I felt really guilty when I was wasting my time doing the thing that I loved, actually. So probably that can sound familiar to you as well. Later on, I realized that when I was doing weddings, I felt like fake, basically. Or when I did family photo sessions, I had happy clients, but when I was going there, I just really felt that I was doing something that is not my thing. So I didn't feel good about the work that I was putting out there and the work that I was basically given to my clients. And I don't want anyone to be at that place. And therefore, I do this live and share my ideas with you. Now, I am full-time surreal fine art photographer, doing workshops, starting online courses, and actually one of them will be soon open for enrollment, the art of visual storytelling. If you are curious, that's like my pride. I put everything, my soul, heart and soul into that course, and if you're interested, there is a link in my bio on Instagram right now, or if you're on Facebook, you can go to my website, which is dashapears-art.com, and you can click learn online, and there will be a link to the course so you can check out the details. But I sell my prints and I completely sustain myself from that. So if you feel that your creativity in the photography is somehow dying, here are 3 things why that can be happening. And the first thing I have already mentioned is that you try to shoot anything that can get you money. And it can be a little bit counterintuitive, but I will tell you, when you pick up your camera, try to be intentional and try to understand yourself, first of all, and your interests. And many people, many photographers, even photographers who are like very, very well established, they will tell you, oh, you just need to shoot whatever and you will discover your interest. I think that's, and you may disagree. I mean, I'm not judging everyone. I'm not saying that I'm the guru again. But from my standpoint, it's better to really understand what you are genuinely interested in and go into that direction. For example, if you are there is a really an amazing photographer. His name is Chase Jarvis, and he is the person behind Creative Life, if you heard about the online learning platform. And I cannot say that I'm a huge fan of his work as a photographer. I actually I'm not even familiar with that, but his story was like, he was passionate about snowboarding and all sorts of like extreme sports. And when he discovered his interest in photography, he went to the sports photography. So he joined those 2 interests, those 2 passions. And that's how it should be. If you are a complete like introvert, of course, shooting weddings with lots and lots of people, it will feel really, really bad, no matter how much you get paid for that. Or just a very plain example, and many of you will relate. When I was traveling, when I was just starting out with photography, when I was traveling, I used to take all my gear with me, like my camera body and my 3 lenses. And then when I was walking around, like checking out places, I didn't feel inspired to take pictures. And I was like, oh my, I actually felt guilty. I have my camera with me and I don't shoot anything. But then I realized, hey, I'm not a travel photographer, so I don't have to take pictures when I'm traveling. I'm a fine art photographer. I do planned shoots. I don't do street photography. I don't do travel photography. And that's okay. That's really, really okay. If you have a camera, it doesn't mean that you have to shoot everything around you. Seriously, this is how it works. If you really understand though what you're interested in, like if you like children, for example, then it's natural that you take child portraits. If you love animals, it's natural that you will take photos of animals. But then if you are completely not aligned with that, like I'm not a huge fan of animals, I felt really bad when people asked me to do sessions with the dog, for example. Again, that's just not my thing. So my first advice to you, please be intentional with the gigs that you are taking, and try to align them with your genuine interests. And then your work will flow. Your clients will be happier because you will understand the event or the thing or the person who you're taking photographs of from the inside, because you're genuinely interested in that. And again, clients will be happier. Then the next reason that you can be losing your creative spark would be, just let me check, because I have some notes. Sometimes we just follow our clients' requests blindly without trying to introduce something of our own. But before I get to that, I have one question. Bookers, have you ever done one for a book? And so, how to achieve that? Yes, I have a number of photos published on book covers, and I will get back to that in the end of this live, if you can stay until the end. Or you can rewatch afterwards. It's gonna be hopefully saved by Instagram, because sometimes it's not. So the next thing, let's say you're starting out in some particular photography industry. Let's say it's, again, getting back to family photography. You're trying to enter this space and you see smiley pictures of kids, always like maybe nicely dressed, they're always smiling, and there's this golden light, and probably they're backlit, and you think that, okay, if everyone does this, I should do the same. Probably this is what people want to get from me. And it's actually a lie. It's not like that. You're trying to right away copy everyone in the field, in the industry, without trying to say something of your own and without trying to introduce your own personality into that. And I also was in the same space. The thing is, when you're trying to copy everyone, and you're at the same time, you're actually not trying to copy, like you're doing it unconsciously, but you think that that's the industry standard. Like your photos are supposed to look a certain way. Your photos are like clients only want that. You just basically often you can be just failing and trying to reproduce other people's works, because they are doing their kind of work, and then your work tends to be lost in the sea of sameness, and it's completely unoriginal, and it doesn't bring you any fulfillment, basically. What I recommend to do. And I know that there, of course, there can be different industries, and if you're working with lookbooks, for example, or fashion photography, or if you're working with product photography, of course, there are some standards, and clients will tell you, like, this is what we want. However, what I advise you to do is to try to bring some of your personality into that, and maybe with some gigs at least, try to follow the client's requirements, and also introduce them something of your personal, like, experimentation. And you can actually try to do, like, all the obligatory necessary shots in the beginning, and then take some time, just intentionally plan some time for your experimental works, which you don't necessarily need to announce to your client right away. But then if they work out, you can tell them, like, hey, this is what you asked for. These are your requirements. But I also got, like, a little inspired on location, and I decided just to offer you something from a different perspective, and show them something that reflects your personal view of this particular, I don't know, product or scene or lookbook. And that could work quite well as well. Because if you just follow what your clients ask you to do all the time, there is no freedom in that. There is no creativity. And especially if you do, like, lookbooks, it's just basically a technical thing. And when you turn it into a technician, you can be very, very easily replaced. And clients will not value your work anymore if they find someone cheaper, who does the work cheaper, faster, or better. So also you can think about that. It gets a bit dark, so I will turn on the light. Hold on for a second. Okay, and I'm back. Guys, if you resonate with whatever I'm saying right now, please send me some support emojis. Like, does it feel something that you have experienced in your life? Does it seem valuable to you right now, what I'm telling you? Because, like, feedback, it always helps. Yes, and hearts as well. Okay, and the third thing that I wanted to tell you, to talk to you about today, is that often when we get into, and this will be very relevant to people who have successful like photography businesses already, like really like established guys, you only prioritize your client work. And you completely forget that you need to schedule some time for play, for personal work as well. And of course, when you have people who are paying you for the work, of course it makes sense to prioritize that. Yet, when you do a lot of commercial work, it tends to get a little repetitive, and maybe not even a little repetitive. Often you find yourself doing one and the same thing again and again and again. Maybe the faces will be different, maybe the products will be different, maybe colors will be different on locations. Yet the essence of the work will be same and the same and the same. And there is a good side to that and a bad side to that. And the good thing is that when you repeat one thing over and over and over again, you become a master in that. So practice makes perfect, and that's awesome, of course. And at some point, you will be able to just come to a like set or location and just click the button with your eyes closed and everything is done. Yet, if you're just doing this one thing over and over and over again and nothing else, then your work becomes a little outdated. You at some point begin to stagnate because there is no development. You're just really like stable and just keeping there, and that's it. And photography is a creative realm, and it cannot survive stagnation. Therefore, my suggestion to you, even if you are completely booked with like photography gigs, you need to consciously understand that you need to schedule time for experimentation, for play, for doing some projects that are just your own, your personal projects. And those projects will help you to deliver better results to your clients. And that those projects, however silly they might seem to you at the very beginning, they will result in you growing and then taking your business even to a new level, like in another level, a higher level. Oh my God. And what's really important here is to understand that that's a necessity. It's not when I have time, because you will never have time. And that it has to be like scheduled actually in your calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't happen. You need to consciously plan that. Some people need to consciously plan time doing nothing. For example, and that's me, and I actually don't do even that. But sometimes you need to plan shoots which will be silly and fun and experimentation, and they might from the outside seem like a waste of time. However, they're not. They will be your time to learn and grow and maybe deliver some new things to your client as well in the future. So let me know if that was helpful. My bottom line would be that I understand that this crisis time is really tough. It might be tough for everyone, and the hardest thing, like especially, well, not just especially for me, but for many people right now, is that we don't know, or at least it seems that we don't know what will happen. No one knows. You're not alone here. Like, no one can predict if you will have those clients in a month, because again, maybe it's still, the lockdown is still on. For example, Finland is now it prolonged quarantine until the middle of May. So yeah, many events will be closed. I mean, cancelled and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not judging you if you're taking the thing that you like really need for the money. I mean, you can feel really, really lucky doing that. But still, my bottom line would be your photography, your creative practice, whatever you do, it should feel good. Only then it will be flowing. Only then you can sustain this for a long time. Only in that case you will be able to be a photographer still in 10 years. And if maybe you burn out as a photographer, if it doesn't feel good anymore, if you actually start hating photography and like become disappointed in it altogether, that's actually okay too. Because, well, maybe photography wasn't just your thing. And that happens. Sometimes I can also share one story. One of my one of the photographers here in Helsinki that I know, he turned to photography after quitting his office job, like regular 9 to 5, and he was so happy that he had an opportunity to open his own photo studio, and he was into photographing animals, for example, and he became really, really professional in taking portraits of of pets, basically, of dogs and cats, and he loved it, but he couldn't make a living out of it, and he was gradually very getting like disappointed. Okay, I cannot even make money when I work with big Finnish brands here. He couldn't sustain it. And then now, a year later, he decided to try something new. He started a, what is it called? Like a bakery. And he's so happy. And that's flowing. So maybe photography just wasn't his thing. And that's okay. That's totally fine. No judgment. Again. Thank you for your kind words as well. I just deeply believe that, guys, we also need to support each other, and here, this is why I'm here. I'm sharing my experiences, and I hope that if it helps you, I will be more than happy to know that you can sustain your creative practice and create more and more and more, because I believe that creative people who create more things, they are happier and they destruct less around them, and this is basically how they make the world a better place. Okay, I will take questions now. Some of them, at least. Before that, I wanted to just tell you that is actually the 4th live of my series, which is gonna be, there's gonna be 5 lives. The previous lives can be still accessed on my Facebook page. If you go to Facebook, just type in Dasha Pears and you'll see my page. And if you go to videos, there are videos with my previous lives. And soon, in a couple of weeks, I'm holding a free online masterclass, guys. And you did a great job helping me selecting the topic, because I had like 5 options, and you helped me to choose the topic about adding surreal surprise elements to your photography to make them catch eyes. So the free online masterclass, it will be like an hour-long training. I will be actually like giving even more useful information with some practical things. If you want to sign up, to get the space, you need to go to, again, link in my bio. It's just go there and sign up for their masterclass. There, you need to enter your email and first name so that I can later on, closer to the date, send you the participation details where you have to log in. It will not be a live or an Instagram live. It's gonna be a bit of a different event on a different platform, just like a whole online masterclass. I'm really, really interested in how it's gonna work because it's my first thing like that, and I'm really, really excited. So again, it's gonna be about 5 magic tricks or surprise surreal elements that you can add to your photos to make them catch eyes and grab attention instantly, because this is the challenge that we're facing today. With an overwhelm of visual information in this world, it's really hard to grab people's attention. And I don't know if you knew about this. Human attention span is now less than that of a goldfish, and for a long, long time, goldfish was supposed to have the shortest attention span. Now it's 9 seconds for a goldfish and only 8 seconds for humans. How not cool is that? And to grab that attention, to actually present your ideas in your work, you need to make your work stand out. So I will be sharing some of my favorite techniques that I use, and by the way, not all of them require heavy photoshopping. There are just some things that you can use even without knowing the tools in Photoshop. So go ahead and claim your seat right now. Again, link is in my bio on Instagram, and it will be in the comments to this post on Facebook as well. And now, yes, I will get to the questions. I know I had some break because problems in my experience on editing. Then I deleted my post on Instagram, but now I'm inspired bit. Yeah. Okay, if you feel inspired, my job is almost done. I'm really happy to hear that. How was your journey until you could live from your art? It was actually, as I was trying to tell in the beginning, I had a lot of mental struggle because I thought that a photographer is supposed to get paid for only for client work. When you shoot weddings, you're paid for that. However, there are different ways of how you can make money with photography. And for many photographers, just to tell you the thing that you probably haven't considered yet, many photographers, they have different income sources. Sometimes, and many of them, they can work with clients, and again, either private individuals, families, or brands, or like companies. And also there's gonna be an income from maybe photography licenses. Sometimes people sell posters or prints, and then sometimes they do commission work for like let's say book covers as well. So there's not usually not photographers, especially very like commercially successful, they have different income sources. There is also stock photography websites. There are photo agencies which sell their work, and so on. Okay, there was a question about book covers. So yeah. About book covers. If you guys want to get on book covers, first of all, understand if your photos will look good on books. And by that, I mean, try to analyze what kind of photography you do right now and what kind of photography is published on books. from my experience, the majority of images that that can be found in books, they're like romantic girls, maybe sometimes romantic couples, because that kind of literature sells very well. Of course, it's not only that. There's other novels, but for example, there's that. First of all, if you want to get your photos for book covers, analyze the market, so to say. What kind of photos are usually bought? What kind of photos you can see on book covers right now? Do your photos look similar to that? If yes, then congratulations. Search for agencies which work with book publishers and go ahead and send them your images, like your portfolio, sign the contract. There are several agencies that I'm working with right now. There is Archangel, Trevelyan, and Plain Picture. Plain Picture doesn't work only with book covers, but sometimes they do as well. You need to understand also that your income will be it's very rare that you get to work with the publisher directly. If you do, then great. However, if you work through an agency, the agency will take 50% of the cost of the price of the image. And then if you're selling mainly to, let's say, Europe, you won't get a lot of money from that, because the number of copies in Europe is not as big as in the US, let's say. So people in the US, they get paid more because the number of copies that's printed there, it's bigger. But those are just the details of working with in this industry. But the first thing, like, really try to understand what kind of images can be sold potentially to publishers, and how your own photography and your own interest fit into that. And again, try to understand that your images can be used for any type of books. If you're, let's say, if you really like photographing beautiful girls in nice vintage fairy tale like dresses with flowers or like blooming trees, then awesome. And you also like romantic literature, there's a match. Perfect. You guys, it works. If you shoot something which is really out there, but you still want your photographs to be published in books, just really understand that there's like the market demand. If that demand does not match your style or your interest, then it won't work out. So that's just the primary thing to understand here as well. And then also the format of your images, that they have to be like not square, preferably. You have to be like portrait oriented. And also know that if you work with book publishers, they can change your image completely. Like a couple of days ago, I received an email that my photo was bought for a book cover for a book that's published in France, and I had a look at that cover, and they changed the face of the model. And this is like devastating, seriously. But this is the industry. This is how it works. And you cannot even, like, I don't even feel like sharing that. It's not even my success, of course. Like, okay, and I don't know what that book is about. Maybe I would hate the book as well. So you need to consider that too, guys, when you are working with publishers. Okay, maybe if I have more questions. Let's see. How can you start marketing your fine art photography to get your work seen and possibly purchased by someone? Well, it's a very general question, and first of all, you just put it out there wherever, like all the social media. Um, you try to get into photography contests, of course. You try to get into any magazine, photography related magazine that you can. Try to get your work exhibited in group exhibitions and try to get connections with galleries. But again, those are practical things, and this is what you want to hear. But the first and very, very important thing is that you really need to believe that you're an artist. And until you believe that, no, like, if you don't believe that you're a fine art photographer yourself, like, if you're not completely sure, and then people won't believe you as well, and they won't be interested in purchasing your work and putting them on walls of galleries and stuff like that. So that's the core thing. But otherwise, yeah, those steps. Where will the file copyright actions like? It's not that it. Well, that's the deal. When you sell photography licenses through an agency, they can do that. It's okay, basically, because I sell them the license and then they can alter the image however they want. That's the part of the deal. How I become a unique portrait photographer like you? First of all, you don't need to be like me to be unique. You are unique already. You are you. So the first thing is to understand what you care about. Go within, try to understand your personal interests, your inspirations, your like what you like, what you don't like visually, and they always bring bring you back to understanding yourself first. This is like hugely important. Before you do the work on yourself and ask yourself first, like, what am I interested in? What kind of message I want to put out into the world? What kind of work I want to create? Do I like shooting interiors, or do I like shooting dogs, or do I like shooting landscapes, or like what exactly is my type of photography? And when you find the answers to those questions, your work becomes unique. You are unique already. It's that you need to understand that all of your experiences, all of your backgrounds, all of your feelings, and like previous things that happened to you, they make you unique. And when you go to that and then put that into your work, then it becomes unlike someone else's. But when you're very often unconsciously trying to become someone else, then of course it just doesn't work. People feel that it's fake. And I've been there. My first attempts in fine art photography, they were basically imitating other people because I was so in love with their work. I was just like, oh my god, I just want to be them. This is so great, this is so beautiful. And only after maybe 3 or 4 years I started to understand that when looking at their work, okay, maybe I wouldn't do this and this and this, and I started to look at their work without those pink glasses, so to say, in front of my eyes. And this is what I wish for you as well. Alright guys, I hope you like this. I hope to see you, many of you, during my free online masterclass, which will happen on Wednesday, April 15th, so in a couple of weeks. But the important thing is that you need to sign up to get the link where and when to join. So I will be waiting for you there. And again, this was the 4th of the series of lives, and the series, I like to call it Art Should Bring You Joy. The 5th one will be on next Friday, April 10th. Yes, about the exact time I will let you know later. And also during this coming week I will have one super interesting interview with Laura Sheridan. She is an amazing fine art portrait photographer, but again, I will announce everything a bit later. But we will talk on the topic of how to create a portrait with a story. Not just a regular portrait, but portrait with a story, because her portraits, they're like they're amazing. They are I don't know how to explain. Yeah, I will share that work in my stories. Cool. Yes, I cannot wait for that too as well, for the masterclass. Thank you everyone for joining. It was so cool to see all of you, to read your comments, to answer your questions. Please, guys, wash your hands and don't forget to use the hand cream after that. I wish that you stay safe, stay positive, and of course, stay creative. With this, I will leave you, and good night.